All right, we do have the legendary coach at North Carolina, Roy Williams, joining us. 3 national championships at Carolina, of course, served as an assistant under Dean Smith. And Coach Williams, thanks a lot for joining us.
Well, thank you guys very much. It's an honor to say great things about big Coach John.
And you know, we were before we had you on, we were talking about your days as an assistant under Dean Smith. Dean had a really close relationship with John Thompson, right?
They really were close friends. Coach Smith, he used to tell me if his phone rang at 11 o'clock, it was going to be me, but if it rang between 11 and 12, it was going to be Coach Thompson. So, you know, they say it started when Coach Smith recruited Donald Washington, who was a high school player of Coach Thompson when he was coaching in high school. So they went back a long ways.
Can you give us an idea of what your relationship with Coach was? How that started?
It was fantastic because he was he treated me like one of his guys. He was a mentor to me early in my time at Kansas, for example. I called to see if I could come and watch him practice, and I flew from Kansas to D.C. and watched his Georgetown team practice and spent a couple hours with him afterwards. And over the years, it was something that I really enjoyed, his mentorship. He even sent me a call last year. I was on the court practicing, and he left me a message. And, you know, last year was a tough year for us. We'd never had anything like that. But he reached out, and I knew he wasn't feeling really well, but still he reached out at that time. And on the humorous side, many years ago, I'm very lucky. I'm sitting between Dean Smith and John Thompson on the front row in a gym. And he looked at me, and, you know, he had a good language, okay? So he said, all right, you little blankety blank, you're the youngest guy. If the ball starts coming over here towards me or Coach Smith, he called him Dean, but he said, between me, it's your responsibility to stop it. If some player comes diving over here, it's your responsibility to get in front of us. If we get hurt, it's your fault. And so the last couple of years, I've sort of graduated into that level, and I'll be sitting beside the young coach, or there'll be 2 old guys, and I say, all right, now this is the John Thompson rule. It is your responsibility to stop any ball or any player coming over here and putting us in danger. And I did call it the John Thompson rule. But no, he was great. I think it started because of his, no question, because of his relationship with Coach Smith. But he was just a genuine guy, and he was a giant of a man in many ways.
Talking to Coach Roy Williams, who's won 3 national championships. During your days as an assistant at North Carolina, of course, you had the national championship game against Georgetown. You talked about going to watch some of his practices. What did you make of his teams on the court?
Very aggressive, very physical, very tough physically and mentally, but not across the line. And I think that they were unselfish. They knew who their best scorers were, and those best scorers got the most shots. You know, we were lucky in '82 and won the thing. And the thing that stands out to me is his reaction to Fred Brown, who made the pass at the end. That was the number one thing I take from the whole game. And I was there trying to remember. I think it was Seattle in '84.
Right, Seattle, yep.
Okay, when they won the national championship, and I was very happy for him. And just a good guy that I truthfully enjoyed, and probably – for the last 15 years, if I went to the Final Four without my team, I would usually just stay for the semifinal games, and I always gave Coach my extra, the tickets that I were not using on Monday night. I knew he wasn't going to sell them. I knew he was going to give them to somebody that was extremely important to him, and that's all I cared about.
So, and then moving forward to '85 when Villanova and Raleigh beat them, and, you know, Villanova shot like 74% in the first half or whatever that crazy
79%, I think it was.
Almost 80%, yeah. What was your reaction to watching that game just as a fan?
Well, you know, if they hadn't won it the year before, I would have been crushed. And I liked Rowley. I'm not saying I didn't, but if they hadn't won it the year before, I would have been crushed for Coach because, you know, we were very fortunate. Dan Villanova played the best game I've ever seen anybody play in a national championship game. And when somebody's having that kind of night, it's really difficult to beat them. But that run that he had through those 4 or 5 years there was just an unbelievable run. And, again, I'll say this, just like I say about Coach Smith, is he was better off the court than he was on the court, and he was pretty darn good on the court.
Right. I can't have Roy Williams on and not talk about coaching MJ there, though. Like in that '82 team, we got to get your thoughts on that. And just
and also, did you watch The Last Dance by any chance?
Oh my gosh! Was there some program called Last Dance? I missed that.
Just hoping you watched it.
What was that? What was that like? Talk about
the whole schedule to make sure that I didn't miss a second of it. What are you talking about?
I bet, because we had nothing going on then. Everybody was locked down then.
Yeah.
What was that like
ESPN
though?
was lucky.
Yeah.
What was that like? And when did you come in contact with Michael? All of that.
Well, it started the summer. The spring before the spring at the end of his junior year. We had gotten a call that year, and Coach Guthridge had gone down to see him play once as a junior, and he didn't have a great game or anything, but we knew he was going to be one of the better players in the state. And Eddie Fogler and I tried to see if we could get the better players in the state that summer to try to come to our camp. We wanted our camp to be even a higher level of talent there. And so I called Michael's coach and Pops Herring and told him we'd love to have him come to camp. The only bad thing is he had to pay. But we really thought it would be something good. We were trying to get really good players. And so Michael came to our camp, and I was in Carmichael on Sunday afternoon, and we ran a bunch of kids through there while kids were registering and getting ready for dinner. We didn't want them just sitting around. So we'd bring them over in groups of 30, and I stayed in Carmichael for 3 hours, and counselors would bring them over. They'd stay 20 minutes and take them back, and another group would come over. And so he came over, and he just had a marvelous 20 to 30 minutes. But then they go back to Granville. It's almost a mile from Carmichael. It must have been 95 degrees. And about two groups later, he came back again.
Wow.
And so I watched him very closely this time and got him to stay one more session. And then I drove him back to Granville at the end of that. And Eddie Fogler and I were sitting down to have dinner about an hour later, and he said, "You see anybody you really liked?" And I said, "I think I just saw the best 6'4" high school player I've ever seen." And he said, "Wow." And I really felt that way. And so needless to say, Coach Smith had breakfast, lunch, and dinner with him every day the rest of the week. But fortunately, we did get him. And in his freshman year, he just got better and better and better. But the attitude, the focus, the desire, just the discipline, it was incredible. I was very fortunate to help recruit him, very fortunate to help coach him for 3 years, and he's just a great friend. But the most disciplined, focused athlete I've ever seen. The only guy that's in the ballpark would be Tiger Woods. And then I was very fortunate to have a guy named Tyler Hansbrough here for 4 years. It was 4-time first-team All-American. Had that same kind of desire and focus. But nobody's ever been like Michael on a basketball court.
Jason, I don't know if you've ever been to Chapel Hill because Jason's daughters are college age, and their basketball, I don't even know what you call it, their museum almost. It's like a it's like an NBA Hall of Fame type thing. You go in there, it's unbelievable.
It's great campus, by the way.
It's beautiful, and you go in there, and they have, shrines to all these guys that he's mentioning, but MJ in particular, and you see, like, it's so cool, you hit jersey and sneakers and all the obligatory stuff, but then you even see stuff like the typed letter that Dean gave him, like the evaluation after the camp. These are the things you need to work on. This is what I want you to work on this summer, and we'll see you next. It really, really unbelievable stuff. And I highly recommend, if you're anywhere near Chapel Hill, go over there and they'll give you a free tour. It's open to anybody. Go in there and check it out. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty nice, and I feel very flattered to have been a tiny, tiny part of it. I've loved it, but the Smith Center is beautiful, and we do have the museum now, and it's pretty special. So it's even if it is your daughter's looking for a place to go to school, it's something you ought to consider.
Well, I'll tell you what, could they make it more difficult for kids to get in there? I mean,
it is hard to get in there.
It's like trying to get into Harvard, Coach.
Yeah, it is. It is hard.
It really is. But if they're the elite, it's pretty dang impressive, especially from out of state. If you get in at North Carolina, you've done an incredible job in your high school years too.
Well, Coach Roy Williams, I can't do a disservice to our guy Brett Oliverio.
That's right.
You should pop over to Sup Dogs on occasion.
Right on
Have you
Franklin
been there
Street.
yet, Coach?
That's our former
No,
producer that owns Sup Dogs.
It's right on Franklin.
I haven't been up there.
Yeah.
But since this stuff started, guys, I haven't. If I can't eat outside, I don't go. So it's.
I got you.
Brett will take care of you.
Well,
How
maybe
are
Brett
you
will take care
handling
of you.
things? Coach, how are you handling things right now, and what are the prospects of us actually getting a college basketball season? I think the fact that they're going to get this football season kicked off, and we're praying and hoping that it goes safely and cleanly, that bodes well for you guys.
Well, it does. We've got a little more time and hopefully more information and more success fighting this thing. But this is an enemy that we can't see, can't hear, don't know where it is, and it's an incredible time in our country with the virus and the racism things that's going on. I can't remember a more difficult time, but I do believe that we'll have college basketball. And as you said, what happens in college football is a big bonus to let us know what is good and what is bad, too.
Right.
Coach, I wanted to ask you how much you get involved with social media and if you're aware of how many memes there are of you dancing.
The answer is I don't get involved at all. I can use the phone. If you call me, I can answer. I can call somebody. I can text somebody. I can take a text. And, guys, that's it. My guys laugh at me because I tell them I don't know if it's tweet or twit, but so I don't see the social media at all unless somebody brings it to me and shows it to me.
You and me both,
hilarious.
Coach. You and me both.
That's
And so
hilarious.
I'm old school probably. When I retire, which I hope is several years down the road, then I think I'm going to try to learn how to use a computer. I've got a computer. I don't have an email, guys. I have a computer behind my desk that hasn't been opened in 17 years.
So what do you do when you meet a kid out on the road? I assume you just give them your card and they text. When you're allowed to, obviously, you just text kids. Is that what you do?
Yeah, text, and I should add one thing. I can FaceTime somebody or take a
Right.
FaceTime call, but that's it, guys. I'm not in the other stuff at all.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
He takes
Amazing.
a FaceTime.
Right.
Well, Coach, I told this story a couple days ago on the show. I don't know, maybe 15 years ago. I was trying to get you on the show, and usually you go through an SID, and we had a little book, a handbook that had the SID and his number, but it also had your office number, and I called your office. I was just grasping that you would and you answered, and I asked you, I told you, where I was from, what station, and you talked to me for 5 minutes, and you said, yeah, I'll come on your show. This was a long time ago, but that's how down-to-earth Roy Williams is.
How great is that?
Well, I appreciate it. I like people, and I like to help them as long as it doesn't. If I can help somebody in the media, too. I mean, I'm not just somebody. If I can help somebody without hurting what I'm doing, I have zero problems with that. And what you see is what you get with me.
Coach, real quick before we let you go, 2020 has been such an awful year. We lose John, and then earlier in the year we lost a couple of us. Jason played for Morgan, and I went to DeMatha. We lost Morgan. Do you have any words that you can give us, any stories, maybe anecdotes of Coach Wooten?
No, those guys, and we also lost Lute Olson last week, who was a great
Right.
friend of mine. Well, let me just tell you about Morgan Wooten. This is what I thought of him. I sent my son to his camp and trusted him to be up there for a week, and he had a great, great time. But Coach Wooten was fantastic to me. He was very close to Coach Smith, but he was fantastic to me. And just think about losing Morgan Wooten, Lute Olson, John Thompson, and Boyd Grant. I mean, it's something that's happening. It has been a tough year for the old coaches, and regretfully, I'm getting into that group myself, so I'm trying to slow down. Luke Bryan's got a country song that has a great line. It says, the days go slow, but the years go fast, and there's no question about that.
That is true, especially now during the last 6 months. It's really felt that way.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, have a good day, good week, a good weekend, holiday weekend, and hopefully we'll get the college hoop season off here shortly. I'm sure there'll be some sort of a delay, but hopefully not too long, okay?
Thank you,
guys,
Coach.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for having me. You guys stay safe and have a great weekend.
All right, you too, buddy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Good
All right,
stuff.
what
One
I
of the
could talk to
legends.
him for days.
Right?
Yep.
I love that stuff, man. Old college coaches, just the more the merrier. I'm all about it.